You got a raise. Your brain got poorer. And nobody warned you. Not because you're stupid, not because you waste money, because your brain immediately starts rewriting what normal feels like. A better apartment, more delivery apps, more comfort, more spending you don't notice. And the terrifying part? It never feels irresponsible. It feels deserved. That's how salaries quietly reprogram people to stay broke. 3 years ago, Daniel got the email. Subject line, compensation adjustment. He opened it at work, quietly. No screaming, no celebration. Just one sentence. His salary was increasing from $52,000 to $80,000 a year. For the first time, his chest loosened. Rent would be easier. Bills would stop hunting him. The credit card would finally breathe. He thought money had arrived to save him. It didn't. It arrived to test him. And his brain quietly failed him. The first change looked harmless. Not stupid, not reckless, just harmless. He upgraded his chair. The old one hurt his back. Reasonable. Then he bought better shoes. He walked to work. Reasonable. Then Uber replaced the train. Only on tired days. Reasonable. Then lunch stopped coming from home, only when mornings got busy. Reasonable. Nothing looked dangerous. That was the trap. Bad decisions are easy to catch. Reasonable ones are not. 3 months later, his life looked cleaner. Better apartment smell, better coffee, better clothes, better weekends. But his bank account looked exactly the same. Not worse yet. That came later. At first, his brain made the raise invisible. That is the first reprogramming. Money does not disappear suddenly. First, it feels normal. Then, it feels necessary. And this is where you come in. Because you think, this is Daniel's story. It isn't. This is your brain wearing his face. You get more money. You feel relief. Then relief becomes baseline. Then baseline becomes expectation. Then expectation becomes entitlement. And one morning, the thing that once felt expensive feels normal. The $4 coffee becomes $7. The cheap phone feels embarrassing. The old apartment starts feeling beneath you. Your brain moved the line. You just didn't notice. That is the second reprogramming. Your brain does not ask permission. It updates your lifestyle in the background, like software, only worse. Software warns you. Your brain hides it. Daniel noticed it on a Thursday night. He opened his banking app. He expected progress. He found confusion. His salary was higher. His savings were not. His bills were paid, but nothing was left. He stared at the screen, then did what humans do. He blamed math. Maybe rent was higher. Maybe groceries changed. Maybe inflation. Maybe one unlucky month. But deep down, he knew. The raise had not disappeared. He had spent it before even feeling it. And it gets worse, because he did not feel rich. He felt behind. That is the cruel part. The more he earned, the more normal broke felt. Here is the ugly truth. Your brain has no savings account. It has comfort settings. Give it more money and it does not say, let's build wealth. It says, finally. Then it starts searching for discomfort. The old car, the old couch, the cheap lunch, the shared apartment, the scratched shoes, the cracked phone, and quietly it whispers, we can fix this now. That whisper feels logical. That is why it works. Your brain does not destroy you with chaos. It destroys you with upgrades. Small ones, clean ones, defensible ones, the kind you can explain without sounding stupid. Daniel explained everything. The apartment was safer. The car was reliable. The gym helped his health. The food saved time. The phone was for work. Every purchase had a defense attorney. His brain provided the speech after the damage. That is the third reprogramming. Your brain buys first, then writes the explanation. And the explanation always sounds responsible. That is why smart people go broke, not because they are dumb, because they become experts at explaining damage. 6 months after the raise, Daniel made more than ever, and somehow felt worse than before. His credit card stayed full, his savings stopped growing. Even his calendar looked expensive. Birthdays, dinner, trips, work clothes, subscriptions, convenience. Small leaks everywhere. No single hole, just a slow flood. That is what salary does. It does not just raise income, it quietly raises the price of being you. Before the raise, Daniel could say no. After the raise, no started feeling dramatic. He had proof now. He could afford it. That sentence ruined him. I can afford it. The most dangerous sentence in personal finance, because it sounds like freedom, but most of the time, it means surrender. Now here is where everything breaks. Daniel was not spending to feel rich. He was spending to stop feeling behind. That is different, and honestly, much darker. Most people do not chase luxury. They chase relief. Relief from looking poor. Relief from feeling late. Relief from seeming average. Relief from watching everyone else upgrade. The raise gave him permission. Not peace, permission. And permission is not wealth. Permission is a door, and behind that door, your brain starts shopping for a brand new version of normal. Think about this. Before the raise, a $70 dinner felt expensive. After the raise, it felt earned. Before the raise, a $300 weekend hurt. After the raise, it felt healthy. Before the raise, he checked prices. After the raise, he checked feelings. That is the fourth reprogramming. Your brain stops asking, what does this cost? And starts asking, do I deserve this? Once that question appears, math is already dead. Because the answer is always, yes, of course you deserve it. You worked hard. You were stressed. You waited long enough. You suffered. You earned relief. And that is how money becomes emotional anesthesia. Nobody tells you this. A raise does not just increase spending power. It increases emotional permission. You allow more. You forgive more. You justify more. You leak more. And because every leak looks small, you never panic. You just feel tired. And that tired feeling matters. Because tired people do not audit their lives. They order food. They buy convenience. They avoid statements. They delay decisions. They tell themselves, I'll fix it next month. Then next month quietly becomes a lifestyle. And that is how a raise turns into a cage. At month 9, Daniel did something strange. He got angry. Not at himself, at the money. He said, I need another raise. Think about that. The first raise vanished, so his brain asked for a bigger one. Not a different system, a bigger drug. That is the fifth reprogramming. Your brain does not say, fix the leak, it says, get more water. But if the bucket is cracked, more water only proves the crack was always real. Daniel did not need a higher salary. He needed to see what his salary had trained him to become. But he couldn't, because the new life felt like his real life. That is the final trick. Once your upgraded life starts feeling like identity, cutting back feels like losing yourself. And this is where it gets personal. If your income doubled tomorrow, what would change first? Be honest. Not the answer you tell people, the real one. Would you save more? Or finally buy the thing already sitting in your bookmarks? Would you invest? Or upgrade the version of yourself people can see? New clothes, better phone, better apartment, better dinners, better proof. That is not random. Your brain already has a shopping list. It is just waiting for permission. A raise does not create desire. It releases it. That is why it feels inevitable, because part of you already spent the money before payroll ever did. Here is the system. You get paid more. Your brain feels relief. Relief becomes normal. Normal becomes boring. And boring starts feeling unacceptable. Then spending becomes correction. Not pleasure, correction. You are not buying things. You are trying to fix discomfort. The discomfort your own brain created. That is why the raise fails. Not because salary is bad, because your brain adapts faster than your discipline grows. And nobody likes that sentence, because it kills the fantasy. The fantasy says, more money will save me. But the truth says, more money just exposes me faster. Daniel finally saw it after one ugly night. His card declined. Not for a house, not for a car, for groceries. He stood there, making $80,000 a year, staring at a frozen screen. No villain, no disaster, no emergency. Just hundreds of tiny little yeses standing behind him. That is the worst kind of financial collapse. The kind you build politely. The cashier asked, "Try again?" Daniel did. It failed again. And in that moment, he understood something brutal. The raise did not make him poor. It revealed how poor his system already was. The next morning, he opened everything. Bank account, credit card, subscriptions, delivery apps, shopping history. For the first time, he stopped looking for one big mistake. He started looking for patterns. And that is when he finally saw it. The raise was not gone. It had names. $187 in delivery, $94 in subscriptions, $320 in weekends, $410 in small upgrades, $600 in rent difference, $220 in rides. None of them looked dangerous alone, but together, they were a robbery. And the strangest part? There was no thief, just a brain trying to feel normal. Here is the part people hate. The solution is not exciting. It is not a hack. And honestly, it would make a terrible thumbnail. You freeze the line. Before the raise arrives, you decide what stays unchanged. Same rent, same car, same subscriptions, same lunch, same weekend budget. Not forever, just long enough to stop your brain from swallowing the raise whole. Because if you do not assign the money first, your brain will. And your brain is not your accountant. It is a hungry animal wearing your memories. Daniel made one rule. The next raise would not touch his lifestyle for 90 days. Not one upgrade, not one deserved purchase, not one quiet leak. For 90 days, the old life stayed. And something strange happened. The money finally appeared. Not because he became smarter, because his brain was no longer allowed to move the line. That is the whole game. Wealth is not just earning more. It is stopping your brain from constantly redefining what enough means. Most people never do that. So every raise turns into a costume change. Same person, better clothes. Same anxiety, higher bills.
Now you can finally see it. The salary was never the real machine. The brain was. The raise was just fuel. If your brain is trained to consume relief, more fuel simply creates a bigger fire. That is why people double their income and somehow keep the same panic. That is why promotions do not create peace. That is why money feels like it evaporates. But it does not evaporate. It gets assigned by the part of you that wants comfort now, not freedom later. And unless you interrupt it, that part keeps winning, quietly, monthly, automatically. So no, the problem is not that you need more money. That part may be true, but it is not the whole problem. Here is the ugly truth. More money inside the same brain often creates a more expensive prison. Because the walls get nicer, the cage gets cleaner, the bills get prettier, and somehow you call it progress. That is why this trap works, because it never feels like a trap. It feels like finally living a little. Then a little becomes normal. Then normal becomes necessary. Then necessary becomes debt. And one day, you are earning more than ever before, wondering why you still feel exactly the same.
Here is the final sentence. The problem is not that your salary is too small. The problem is your brain spends the raise before you even meet it. If your income doubled tomorrow, what is the first thing your brain would try to upgrade? Write it in the comments, because your answer will probably explain your finances better than your bank account does.